What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to Wrenching Wrecked. Another day. We're at the shop. I got the day off so I can be up here daytime. And deep clean the garage at the house. Kind of working on deep cleaning stuff up here. Got some big customer stuff in the way that needs to get picked up. But 350 stopped running, unknown condition. 351, I think this is in pretty good shape. But in the course of flip-flopping motors, here's those blue stands we set up to use. Grab some little Harbor Freight carts. For now, eventually I'll weld casters on there, but with the front accessory drive on here, this takes up a ton of space. So since I have the time, and we're, for the first time, semi caught up on coding, and I'm up here by myself, everything else that needs to get done is a two-person job. We are going to do a little bit of time lapse on these. I want to disassemble this 350, at least the top end. We're going to pull the heads off and figure out how messed up it is, whether it's worth salvaging on the bottom or what's wrong with this. Had a couple dead cylinders, so I got to figure out what caused that, rather. And then we got a bunch of storage bins, so realistically, if this is all disassembled, I don't know on the Chevy stuff because I'm not well versed in these, but it's a 350 dime a dozen motors, and there is a plethora of information on those, so I'm not worried about anything on there. As for the 351, I'm at least going to tear apart the accessory drive and make a bin for that. And then, I don't know, maybe I'll pop the heads off of this too, just to get a better idea of kind of what we're looking at. I don't want to do a full engine teardown on this, because then you end up with big piles of parts. I'm just trying to make it a little bit more storable until we can fully dive into this. Intake manifold should come off because we got a big old hole over here. And we'll probably go aluminum on this at some point anyway, if we do go through and queue this up for the Falcon, or maybe the truck. I don't really know. 351 in the truck seems to make a little bit more sense in my head than hot rodded 302. A little more low end. But yeah, I'll figure out a spot to throw you guys. I'll sweep up this pile real quick, roll this engine over because that's on a stand. We'll dive into the Chevy because I don't need to put that on an engine stand if the motor's shot. Then I'll just scrap it. Here we go. well, that's about as far as we're gonna go on this. I'm not separating the crank or the oil pump. You guys will see it, or have seen it in the earlier clips. But if we look at the heads, you know, burning, combustion, 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 wet, 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 wet. That's because, I'll just flip the motor over. Both sides, we got burning, 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 wet. So this one's got some crap in here too, but on the heads themselves, I don't know. Looks like some of the valves are sticking up higher. I'm not a Chevy guy, so I'm looking at Chevy heads for the first time. Firsthand, these valves just seem high. Maybe that's normal, maybe it's not. That one looks really high on the exhaust. So definitely probably need some head work, valve job, clean up. On the bottom, nothing really stood out at me. I'm just looking at this now. Not too terrible. Everything kind of looks in place. I didn't pull the cam. I didn't take anything else out. I mean, we could. The cam can come out now. There's no valves or anything in. Let's flip it back over, though. I'm leaning towards the issue, obviously, being these two wet cylinders. So, just like on the head, this was filled with coolant, and then same thing over here. I don't know what the Chevy pattern is for the firing or labeling of cylinders, but we got a wet one here, wet one there. Trying to see if there's any visible markings on the heads, or the face of the surface, the deck rather. Can't think right now. So there we have it. It's a bottom end. I'm going to throw it on the engine stand anyway, as is, like this. Might throw the valve train stuff back in too. I can compile the heads with the valve covers, get all those put back together. We'll throw the oil pan back on and then set it over on the engine cradle where it'll sit the rest of its life until we figure out what we're doing with it. Well, some poor planning on my part. I used that bolt to hold the motor up, and that's what I need to put the stand on. So I'll finagle with this and then bring it back up, bring it back down, get it sorted out. Quick little update. I ended up throwing the heads back on the 350. I loose assembled all the rocker shafts. The push rods are in a bag underneath the intake manifold. Threw all the bolts back in. Hopefully you guys don't mind the time lapse on there, but blasting the motor apart, it gets real old real quick. So Got the rocker shafts, or thinking Harley stuff. I got the rockers loose assembled back on here. Got a couple bolts in all the valve covers. Got all the intake manifold bolts roughly back in. One thread on most of them. Push rods are underneath the intake manifold, but everything is loose. Tightened down a couple of the heads, but they're not torqued or anything. Just kind of reassembled enough so I keep all the hardware if and when we ever get around to that. I have no plans for it. If we do a 350 swap in the panel truck, I'll probably end up using this motor, not this one. But it's just kind of hit or miss, right? Everybody needs a 350 sitting in the garage or shop. So there's that. Now we made a big old mess. Started cleaning up some of this. This will all get swept up or whatever. Now we're on to the 351. On this motor I do want to keep and will probably build. It's a Ford house, not a Chevy thing. But this has all the drive accessories on, which will not make it into any vehicle that I own. So I need the alternator, I need the main pulley, and the water pump. Those three are all that I need. However, this is a 3-belt front drive pulley, so the power steering stuff can come off, all these brackets can come off, and this big giant bulky alternator bracket can come off. If we put this together, we're going to drop a new water pump in it, and for the 35 bucks, it's just cheap insurance. Probably do a timing chain as well. So I think what I'm going to do is start yanking this out. Oh, and my drill, it died. Finally killed it. I had this one for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years? 4 years? I can't keep track. Either way, that one kicked the bucket. I thought it was just the battery. Swapped the battery out, and it's just and I got that nice, lovely burning electrical smell. I smelled that when I was working on this, but oh well, we killed it. So I'm gonna have to run out and grab a new one of those, or I can start taking apart this with hand tools like a peasant. I just don't know if I want to run to the store and spend a bunch of money right now, but it is Wednesday before Thanksgiving, so maybe I should take a look and see who's running some sales. I'll just buy a multi-pack with a bunch of extra crap that I don't need, and probably more charger ports that I also don't need. But hopefully we can get some extra batteries, because those I do always need. Let me start turning some wrenches on this. I'll throw you guys back up, and we'll just keep going with another time lapse here, and then if it's fighting me or I get bored of using hand tools, then we'll stop, and then this can wait. We got quite a while. Day before Thanksgiving, so I got tomorrow off. Not that I'll be up here, but yeah, let's get jamming on this. That's actually pretty much it. I'm gonna keep this bin with all the pulleys and the belts and things, since those are kind of a pain to get queued up. But other than that, I think that's about as far as I'm gonna go on this for now. I do need to pull this apart at some point and go through the top end, see what the pistons, see what the heads look like. I'm most likely, if I do end up building this motor, it is not going to get stock heads, but one of the aluminum sets that we got laying around. I'm gonna leave the water pump and all that on because the hardware on this is kind of a pain in the butt as well. Ford water pump design is hands down not my favorite thing in the world, but we got the stock balancer, the stock timing marker, and all of the stock alternator pulley stuff is in there. So as long as I label this bin, I know that's all 351 stuff. We'll put that upstairs in my Ford pile of parts, and I think that should be about it. The intake manifold's got to come up, but once I start taking a lot more stuff off, it's going to fill up these bins, and I really don't need 2 bins worth of 351 stuff that I don't have any plan to mess with yet. So I think what I'm going to do is actually move this Chevy motor out to the outside corner here, just because that nose is off. The main goal is I don't want to block the lift in terms of pulling cars in here or make it too tight to work on anything. So I just shifted this over, which was kind of a waste of time. It's so nice having everything on wheels. If your stuff's not on wheels, put it on them. Makes everything so much better. Now, I'll try and move this 351 right here. This is gonna be a little sketchy. Maybe we'll move the 302. Let's move this over too. Might as well. Why not? This one's on a cart, so I gotta be a little more cautious. It's not stabilized or fixed on the wheels. And these Harbor Freight carts don't exactly roll, how do I put it, the best, and by that I mean they're terrible. So eventually we'll put better wheels on here. Those can go there, and then the sketchy 351. Let's see if we can kind of mosey this over. And then we'll have the more complete 350 will kind of hang out right there. Now's the sketchy part, trying to get this up on the mat. This is a struggle for sure. How did I get that 302 on there? That cart rolled up. What do I need to do here? A little bit of a lift. I don't know if I'm strong enough to lift that one up, to pivot it. Okay, let's cheat. Yeah, that looks all right. I don't know why I'm really leaving those rubber mats down. Maybe in case they thought they were gonna start leaking or something. I don't know. Makes it a little more difficult to roll. And we want things on wheels. These rubber mats have to go. That's what I just decided based on doing this. It's not as bad when you got bigger wheels, but you really don't have to be there. And they definitely mess up the ability and ease of these things rolling around. But there we have it. Now at least I know what the status is of all of these, minus 351. But 350 blown head gaskets, so who knows, that's a whole can of worms. If we wanted to go through and do a rebuild on there at some point, when I end up with another stupid project that I don't need, we have it. This one, this is a brand new motor internally-ish, all new rings, stock pistons, but all new rings, main bearings, rod bearings, etc., etc. But it wiped a cam. This one, I'm guessing was rebuilt based on all of the blue and all of the stuff that's on here. Could open that one up, but I would like to build a 351 platform. And this is a good running 350 that basically just needs to freshen up before it goes into a car for extended use. But if we end up putting a 350 in that 63 GMC panel truck, that will be the one that goes in. So we'll freshen that motor up. It's got a perfect working 350 turbo 350 trans that I just brought upstairs yesterday. And we have one more motor that I got to deal with, and it's LS, but I don't know what I'm doing with it. It's free. It was a running truck. It broke the timing chain. So other than that, it needs a timing set and should be good to go, unless LSs are interference motors. Let me know in the comments. I don't know anything about GM stuff, but we have that option too. So we'll see. I was going to do the LS in the panel truck, and then an old 350 came along. I'd feel much better putting an older 350 in than doing an LS swap, personally. But thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all those fun things. Don't worry, we're still going right back to bikes. I just needed to clear space in the garage, which made a big mess up here. Now we're done. We clean up, go home, and it's chilly, but I think we're going to take the iron head out today. Catch you on the next one.